very productive evening. All right, the easy question is beyond this. So let's get interesting now. Describe your philosophy regarding the role of the town council. Let's start with Todd.
Well,
2 minutes on it.
the role of town councilor is to evaluate the difference between, in regards to need versus want.
Could you speak up a little bit? It's
Sure.
a little harder than that.
The role of town councilor, my belief, is that it's evaluating need versus want. You're looking at taxpayer dollars. I'm a taxpayer. You're all taxpayers. The fact of the matter is that a lot of people desire a lot of things. The question is, can we afford it? The town council has to evaluate these things, apply the resources and the dollars that are collected from taxpayers and apply them effectively. Now, that's a pretty generic approach, but the reality is no matter what it is, if it's taking care of the people that need to be taken care of or provided aid, or if it's life-saving equipment with the fire department or the police department or any other department, the fact of the matter is the basic thing is to evaluate need versus want. One of the things that the council should also do is look at is sometimes there are wants, and wants are important. I've heard people say things about like wish lists and stuff of that nature. And the fact is that you need to look at that. Wants can be had as long as the department can justify that want by offsetting it with an increase in efficiency. So we should never not look at wants. Want for a new software program that allows something to be done more effectively or more cost effectively and reduce labor, which means we don't have to hire more people. But the reality of it, when it comes down to it, it's evaluating taxpayer dollars and applying them effectively. That's the job. And I don't think it's that hard to understand. So, thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Nancy.
Thank you. Let me actually start. I actually moved to New Hampshire in 1990 to Hooksett in 2000. Knew something sounded wrong when I said it, so I apologize for that. Certainly my philosophy of what the town councilor has changed a lot in 3 years. I still firmly believe that the role of the town councilor is to be the voice of their constituents, to be available, to be open to listening, and then to take all the facts and make a decision and represent what is best for Hooksett. Not what is best for yourself, not what is best for an individual, but what is best for Hooksett and Hooksett's future. Another very big role is looking at the future while trying to live today. We have to look at the tax dollars, what they are today, and where they might go in the future, and find a way to even that out so that we don't have big tax spikes, so that we don't have, oh, remember what happened in 1992, where we have big jumps, and to even that out so that each of us find Hooksett as a place we want to live and we want to continue living, because you know your tax dollars are being spent in a way that are going to improve the town and the community, both economically and for your schools, your parks and recreation, and the safety, which brings in the police department and the fire department. Am I have a little more time? Or?
You've got 10 seconds.
Okay, I will sit down and pass on to Bob.
Can I use you 10 seconds?
Doesn't work.
Basically, my philosophy is that I believe the town council they represent the people. And the town council should listen to the people. I have seen lately occasions where the town council is not really listening to the people. And I think the town council have to really pay attention to what the people are telling them. We have a structure in our town, the town council meetings. There are times when there are issues where the people want something more from the council. Suppose we had a few minutes and we had a group come in that were explaining this whole situation about the sewer. I noticed that there was a lot of citizens there at that meeting who had a lot of questions. But by the time it got around to public input, those experts had left the room, and I think a lot of people were left frustrated. I think one of the feelings that you can notice in the town of Hooksett right now, there's a great deal of frustration. So my philosophy is transparency. What we do on the council, we should be transparent. There shouldn't be, we have an awful lot of non-public meetings. I think we need to look at the number of non-public meetings we have. And when we have a non-public meeting, I've noticed things in the newspaper shortly after those meetings that were really probably, I would assume, to be discussed as non-public, and there they are in the newspaper. Again, following the rules and regulations, what constitutes a non-public meeting, what information can you share? There seems to be a lot of, like I said, we'll go back to the transparency. People need to be accountable to the public for the decisions that are made in the town council. Accountability is a major piece of what I would want to put in there as a town council. There's question. Oh, see, I told you I needed this.
Thank you. Thank you. Can everybody hear? Everybody's fine?
Barely.
Who said barely?
I did.
Okay. Well, come on, there's seats up here.
I probably, one of the most favorite things in my life is paying my taxes, like the rest of you. But we have a CIP committee in town. This year, I think they did a very good job in trying to get their plan for the 6-year plan, taxing in the future. To level off these big expenditures. It seems from hearing, I've been on the council for 1 year, so after hearing that things get put off and gets put off the year before they put this off, next thing you know, they've been put off too long. And this year, the council sort of cut the CIP plan. And I really believe that they really put a hard effort into it. And we should have left it alone. And it should have gone to the people to decide if they wanted to spend this money. And then the level of needs, that really is what the CIP is. They look at each item, give it a score rating of where it's supposed to be, how important the need is. And I think they did a good job. And we really need to listen to them more and go by their findings. I think the council sometimes doesn't read their rules of order enough. And sometimes we seem to divert from them a little bit. I think that's something we really got to put an effort into, is sticking by the town charter exactly and our rules exactly. So then there's no mix-ups this way. A lot of times I heard it, even when I went to town council meetings before I was on it for 5 years, well, this is the way we used to do it. And there's rules for that. We need to revert back to the rules all the time and stay on a straight course. In non-public, it was mentioned what gets said in non-public. For the 1 year I've been on the council, every time we've gone into non-public and announced a 91A and what sub-call chapter was.
Mike?
A lot has been said about the leadership and the will of the people, and I think that is certainly true. The fact that we're elected by district, the fact that there are 9 of us, it's not intended to be a monarchy, or it's really about the listening to the townspeople and executing the will of the people. Phil mentioned the Constitution of the state of New Hampshire and the power derived from the people. So I think that's critical. Oftentimes when I read in the paper what has gone on, I'm left scratching my head like, what was the motivation for that decision? There should never be any wondering about what the motivation is. It should be about what's best for you. And in my intro, I talked about the kids of the town and the future. And I think with that leadership responsibility comes an eye for the future. And balancing the fiscal responsibility, as Todd mentioned, balancing needs versus wants, and making sure that we spend our tax dollars wisely appropriately and with a direction that's clearly defined, so that when you pick up the paper and see what your town councilors did, there's no wonder. You know that it's your best interest, that we all have at heart, and ultimately the town becomes a better place to live. And that's really what it's about. It's about being proud of the town. It's about doing the right thing. It's about making tough choices, whatever they may be. And Lord knows we're faced with lots of them. So that's what I plan to bring to the table for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Nancy?
Well, I guess I'm coming to the town council with a lot of background in efficiency and productivity and practical application and budgeting and working at the emergency shelter and working in a career of constantly showing backup, showing how did I arrive at a decision. A lot of times it's common sense, but most likely is because I've collected all of the facts and I'm a systematic person. So I don't usually go from A to B to D. I usually go A, B, C to D. And I do it that way every single time. And I try to bring as many people into my decision making as possible so that it's a well-rounded decision and it's a popular decision. I was on the budget committee for 3 years, and I can list several things that I was not the popular vote, but yet a year later it came around that, gee, she did have a good idea back then when she was the only vote to bring non-union wages to the town council for a wage increase versus putting it on a warrant article for the town to vote. So after 4 years of the folks in town not getting a 2% raise or a 1% raise, I was one of 10 people that decided to go against the grain. So I'm willing to make the tough decisions when they're necessary and stand my ground when I really do believe in something. And the majority of my career, I was a woman growing or climbing the ladder, so to speak, in a corporate world. So I know what an uphill climb is all about, and I do know that the town of Hooksett has an uphill climb to come to before we're out of the water, out of the woods. So I'm District 6. I'm taking over for someone who has big shoes to fill. I don't plan on actually filling his shoes. I plan on doing the best I can for you.
Michael?
The role of the council. The council has a lot of responsibility. One of the biggest responsibilities we have to the people is to protect the people. And that is to make sure that our police department, our fire department, our public works department, a lot of departments have enough funding in order to protect us and maintain their jobs and their responsibilities. Sometimes it's very hard to do. Most of our budget goes to salaries. So sometimes when there's equipment needed, you have to take the money someplace else. So a responsibility, a fiscal responsibility of the council is to make sure the money that you give us, the money we all give into the pot, is spent correctly. There's no waste, and we get the biggest bang for our dollar. And sometimes, like Nancy says, and everyone else says, it's a hard decision to make. Where do you put the money into? I think that this year the council is faced with a lot of problems, both personnel problems, we had the DIS problems, and a lot of money was requested from the council. We took a hard look at it, and unfortunately some things have to be said no to. And no was a CIP on some of the big projects. If you put those projects on warrant articles and they pass, some people won't be able to afford their taxes. Some people in Hooksett have fixed incomes. So you have to take a look at those taxes, those tax dollars, and be fiscally responsible to make sure that the people who are on fixed incomes can afford to keep their houses. And that's a major thing with me, because I remember growing up, my parents didn't have much. I can imagine people in this economy with gas prices rising, taxes going up, they have less than we have. So that's one of the areas that I always focus on. I always returned all my phone calls, messages, and anything else I receive as a councilman at large. You call me, I answer. And last thing I want to mention is non-public. I'm done? Yep. Where's my wife?
Give you all a chance to critique me in a second.
To me, the council should act as a board of directors. They have to see to it that the administration and themselves adhere to the rules of the charter, the RSAs, and follow procedures and correct processes. Our role is to make sure we hire a good administrator who has the ability to deal with these issues. We need to act as a role model of showing how boards should behave, how they need to direct. We need to see to it that the administrator hires the best possible candidates for all the various departments. What we also need to do is, when a decision is made, the council must explain why they made that decision. If they vote no on an issue, they need to explain why they voted no. If they voted yes, they need to explain to it. And I think that is something that's lacking. When a question is asked, you need to ask it, be answered directly, and go forth. There's a lot of issues that we need to face, but if you need to be open and you need to have a clear and prudent thought process on how decisions need to be made. There's a lot of different agencies that the council doesn't necessarily have control over, but we need to see to it that they're adhering to the rules of good government and making sure they have some contingencies and plans to address unforeseen problems. So the key is the council must be open, they must be board of directors, and they must see to it that they're doing what is best in listening to the people.
Thank you, James. Bill?
Part of the role of the town council is to see that this municipal corporation, which is now governed by majority rule, will be compelled to follow the supreme law of the land as enumerated in Article 6, Paragraph 2, which is the supreme law of the land for the Constitution of the United States of America, and to assist in the restoration of the Republican form of government guaranteed under Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution of the United States of America. All your department heads should have an audit which you're responsible for, and in the interest of the taxes, they need to prioritize their needs. We need audits to prioritize for lower taxes, try to lower the taxes. We need to make sure all department heads are qualified for their jobs and salary. The persons entitled really have and meet the title qualifications through the state or university guidelines. In other words, engineers giving service to the town and charging such will be certified engineers with their own stamp, so to speak. All expenditures to any and all stakeholder operations for any reason should be thoroughly investigated by specially appointed town council committees, and at all times the names and addresses of all stakeholders and copies of all their books shall be available to the town council and the taxpayers at all times. All members of any boards or stakeholder operations shall reveal any connections to LLC operations. There's a ton of different things that the town council needs to participate in their role of in controlling the money and working with the budget committee and working with a lot of money that's being wasted in the town, and it needs to be addressed now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Audience, is this format working fine?
Yes.
Candidates, it's rude of me to stand up all of a sudden and cut you off. So I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to stand up when you have 15 seconds to go. And I'll stop, and I will interrupt you when the 15 seconds are gone. Is that fair? That way nobody's caught mid-sentence. And I really realize that when I cut a few people off mid-sentence. So we'll change it a bit. We're going to start getting into multiple part questions. So you need to remember the multiple parts. So it's a test. Here's the question. What single unique talent or skill will you use to successfully deal with the wide range of issues, actions, challenges, and decisions that you will face as council? To elaborate on that question a bit, for current incumbent councilors, what major initiative or initiatives have you proposed to make the town better, and were they adopted by the council? For candidates, what major initiative or initiatives do you plan to propose to make the town better? Do I need to repeat it? Nancy, you're up.
So I like the first part. I guess the skill that I would say is unique and I'm very strong is my logical thought and my ability to read and comprehend things that other people might find quite boring and dull. Love to dig into the RSAs, love to read those statutes, read those reports. And then my second favorite thing to do is to write down my pluses, minus, favorites, here's and there, and try to come to the best decision using all the facts that I can gather. Initiatives, probably the one that has been most close to my heart is the single stream recycling. And I can't say that I brought it. It was certainly brought by a department head, but it's been one that I have certainly stood behind and really tried to convince my fellow counselors to support, and that was taken on, and I do believe it is proving to be successful. And with that, recently we are looking very hard at the automated collection, another thing I hold near and dear for many reasons. Again, going back to that responsibility for the future, spending our tax dollars wisely. The council and the budget committee are right now in support, as well as CIP, of the automated collection, and I guess we'll see in May what the people think, but I have hopes that that will indeed come through. Other initiatives that I have been behind would have to be looking at our structure of our department heads and down, and making sure that we do have the right people in the positions, and making sure we get the training for those who need it. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. You're up, Bob.
And how much time do we have?
2 minutes.
Okay, I won't take that much time. My unique talent, I believe I am a supremely curious person. I want to know, when somebody tells me something, I want to know how they know that. In other words, I'm going to have to look at the regulations, I'm going to have to look at the law, I'm going to have to look at evidence that's in front of me. I'm very much in my day-to-day work, I deal with medical records, I want to know, I want to look at, I want to know what was the decision-making process, what led this person to conclude this. And I think those things are readily transferable as a talent to the town council, because I want to know things. I want to know, when someone says, well, we need this, and we need this, I want to know how, well, first of all, what's the basis of that, and how do you know this is something that happens, that we have to need right now. So, being extremely curious, driven by the evidence, logical in my thinking, and when I make a decision, I want it based on what is best for the town. Not the town council, not for this constituency or that constituency, but what is best for the town.
Thank you. Jim?
My talent. Being a master electrician and my specialty is control wire work, I have to use logic every day on trying to figure out why something won't run. You know, you have to gather information from everybody. And from all those little bits of information, you get hints of what's wrong. And then how do you solve the problem? Just recently, at the Thursday night, we had a joint meeting between zoning board and planning board. And somebody brought up a question. In the last 2 days, I've been researching, calling people up, and gathering information that I could report back to that person tonight of what I found. And that's how I usually make my decisions. Is just research what we have and, you know, talk to people. Those are the ones that have been around a lot longer than I have on the councils and on different boards, and get answers. Then you can make a logical decision. things that I really supported in town was the single stream recycling, the automated collection system. Diane knows I'm one of our biggest champions on that, and I was glad to see the nice response that we got at the deliberative session with only one no vote. And the other thing that I really do is transcript type minutes, especially on the council. I don't want anybody anymore to be able to get up and say, well, I really didn't know what happened at the council meeting because the minutes weren't detailed enough. So my fellow councilor, Mike Stoller, made the motion, I seconded it, and we will work hard to get, transcript type minutes. So everything would be in detail. So if somebody picks up the minutes, they can read them and see what has happened. And there won't be any questions. It would be like you were there. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Mike?
Well, single unique skill, it's kind of a tough one. As the director of single A T-ball and blastball, getting 134 kids ages 4 to 7 going in the same direction, I think makes me uniquely qualified. For those of you who have been to a T-ball field, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But all seriousness, it's being organized, it's being up to speed, doing your homework. I've been to a number of meetings, and it's clear a number of members of the town council clearly do their homework and are very well prepared and speak and are very well representative of the district with whom they represent. So again, being organized, working a plan, again, ex-Army officer, I'm a medical salesperson on the device side, so I have to understand surgical procedures, and talking to a physician who has many, many years of experience, you have to be able to clearly get your thoughts across, get across quickly and effectively. So being a good communicator, good planner, and then my initiative, I think citizen involvement has to be a key focus. It's about tapping into the younger citizens of this town and getting them involved, getting more people involved, getting more people to the deliberative session, whether that's through technology like Facebook and things like that. There are ways we can reach a deeper understanding among all of the constituents in town. And I think the single biggest challenge facing the town council is the town administrator. I would like to see citizen involvement in that process. I know in the past they had a committee, so I would like to see that continue because we need to hit a home run on that town administrator. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Nancy?
I think my single most skill that I will bring is my integrity level. I don't necessarily back down if I've made a decision on something, but I have an open mind and I do listen to everyone in the room. Again, I'll go back to my 3 years of budget committee. There were 7 new budget committee members the first year I was on, and what a delight to learn and see what 7 other people had to say, fresh, out of the box, no pre-baggage. And I think that's what's going to be great about the town council this time around, is there's going to be enough new faces and enough fresh blood in there that there isn't going to be, oh, that's the way we've always done it. I'm big on communication. I'm big on transparency and procedures. It's our base. It's what we have by the charter, and it's how we start the day, our basics. And then off of that, we have intelligent people in the room that will do their homework and due diligence. I'll be right along there with them doing that. From that, we will then grow. We will pick apart each of these problems one by one until we solve them one by one. I echo a lot of the different things that all these folks said. I think our town administrator today thinks she's our town manager. And for the last several years, she's been acting as a town manager, giving us the wrong flavor of what an administrator is. She's supposed to take the direction from the town council. If there's one thing I want to see happen is direction from the town council, all in one direction, be it on a T-ball field or from the town council, to lead the town of Hooksett out of the woods. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Michael?
Style. My best style probably is I'm very open-minded. I do change my mind when someone can convince me that it needs to be changed. Point is that the minutes, I did vote to condense the minutes down into a smaller fashion. Mary Farwell, along with several other citizens, called me up and said, that's not a good idea, we'd rather see the minutes in a long form verbatim. I talked to Jim, Jim said the same thing, Nancy said the same thing. So I did change my mind, and minutes have to be in a long form, verbatim now. I'm very open-minded to a lot of good suggestions that people have. I don't have all the answers to give every single time at a town council. I rely on people to call me and give me their opinion. If I get 10 opinions on this side and no opinions for the other side, the 10 people win. A point of interest is the police commission. I voted, and I stand very strongly, I maintain the present police commission of having no abolishment of the police commission. The reason being is they control the funds of the police department. So I was a strong candidate to keep the police commission the way it is now. And I certainly would agree that our biggest challenge right now is the town administrative position. We got past the DISC. We got past the DPW. Now we have the administrative position. That has to be a home run. We have to hit a home run in that one, because that's the person that has to control the things that we want, both as a council and the public. So if we don't hit a home run in that one, we're back to where we were before. And I'm not for going backwards, I'm for going forward.
Thank you, Michael. Jim? I believe I can offer a unique perspective, as I said, serving on the council, the school board now, and the solid waste, as well as the budget committee. And I think on all my board service on those boards, I've come prepared. I've learned what I needed to do before I took that step to run with the school teacher and so forth. And I think I was able to bring a sense of teamwork, working along with all the board members, because it's not just one person. Collectively, the board succeeds. Collectively, the board fails. I think the most important thing is to bring back a confidence in the town's administration, in the town's council's ability to do the right thing. I think, first of all, what we need to do is find an excellent town administrator. What we need to do is bring all the boards, perhaps, and the department heads together and making sure they know what their jobs are, know that they have the proper procedures to follow, and that they're doing the job diligently and making sure there's no mistakes. I think eliminating the consent agenda would be a good thing. And though it's not a good idea, when it started a long time ago, I think to promote what the council's doing in all boards, is I think we should get behind that public access program. And from a perspective of a historical society president, working together with a wonderful group, there is a lot of wonderful things in our 189 years of being a town that we need to promote. We need to promote all the best of what Hooksett has, and I think we need to bring back a confidence of the people in the town council.
Thank you, Jim.
Well, all I can say is what I can bring, and I've been in sales for all my life, buying and selling, and as an auctioneer I can still call 5 numbers a second. But I use my talents when I'm on the council to analyze contracts that everybody's looking at, and I pay attention to the final thing that we have to sign, and in several instances I've saved the town a lot of different types of money and pieces of land. There's a piece of land over by the courthouse that almost got taken over by squatters' rights. We ended up thinking we owned it, we didn't own it. We ended up going into closed sessions. Turns out the railroad owned it. Town bought it from the railroad. But it all comes together when certain people on the council can utilize other members of the council and be unmerciful to make them work, and make them work like dogs, and do the research after hours, and put these subcommittees together and do the work that's needed not behind closed doors necessarily, but behind the scenes, so to speak, to save the taxpayers' money. And there's literally thousands and thousands of dollars of taxpayers' money that have been saved in the past by these subcommittees, and will be done again with the future town council when they work. The subcommittees are usually made up of 3 people, but when they get an idea or see something wrong, strike with a hammer and start working on it. It all works, because you can use the individual talents of each council and just work them into the dark. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Todd?
My skills as I bring to the table as an executive and as an engineer, the logic aspects come into play, but also assessments. I do everything from multi-million-dollar project assessments, budgeting and such, and project management. I also deal with things that are out of the ordinary in regards to teams. I have to deal with teams that are made up of 20 of my guys here in the U.S. and 20 guys in Japan, so I have cultural and language barriers. But I've been effective in basically condensing information down to a level in which can be basically used by people that might not have a high technical interest or a high technical background. The idea is to bring it down to a level in which everybody can evaluate it, and that's one of my strong points. With some of the initiatives I'm looking at is, I did a basic analysis of many of the issues that have struck us, and I use the bacterial disc issue as the most relevant one. One of the things that you start looking at benchmarking, as we look at the way Hooksett responded to certain situations. Take for an example the recent disc issue. My feeling is it's information and communication failure. That's it. The fact of the matter is, one of my initiatives is to look at information and communication and making it a priority to reach out to citizens. Yes, the town council has to deal with the sewer commission in that situation. They have to talk to the regulatory bodies. The next thing and the priority should be the citizens. We need to make that a priority, and that's one initiative. The other initiative is to look at efficiencies in town. I, as an administrator, with the downturn in the economy, I had to basically reduce my cost by 30%, so I didn't have to lay off anything, and I successfully did that. I find things through efficiency, like Phil talked about. You have to work those problems, but there's a lot of efficiencies that we can go after. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Okay. That work better? That work better for you guys?
Yeah.
What about the 2 minutes? Is it too much? Not enough? For what?
Yeah, good. I can talk forever. So.
Okay. Specific questions. And I have to apologize ahead of time because the first question I'm going to ask is to a single individual, and I was pressured unmercifully to make sure I ask this question. Jim.
Thank you, Mary.
You are currently on the school board.
Correct.
You are running for a council seat.
Correct.
Do you intend to stay on the school board?
I am going to commit to finishing my term, which is 1 more year.
Do you think the citizens think you can do that? Do both jobs efficiently?
I think they can because I not only I can serve, do my own work on the school board. I would not have committed to running for the council seat if I knew I couldn't do it. I do have some issues getting around, but that should not bear me because my plate is full, and I think for each job I have served, whether Historical Society President, Lions Club, a singer and entertainment group, school board, or even my job, I'm able to perform those duties, and I think I've done a great job. Not just because of me, but because of the wonderful people that I've worked with on those boards. So it should not, I will give 100% like I give 100% to everything I put my mind to.
Pain is almost over.
Okay. Oh, it's a 2-part question.
No, 3-part.
Oh.
But you only get a few seconds for this.
So yes on the first one. Thank you, Mike.
Are you on any school board subcommittee?
I am on a policy committee currently, and we review the policies to make sure.
One committee?
And there's a small transportation commission meeting, which is someone has a problem with their bus stop. We meet probably maybe twice, hopefully, and that's during the day. So again, not a problem handling those positions.
Thank you.
Okay. I thought you said there were 3 parts. Okay. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay. First specific question for everybody, and probably one that bears a lot of relevance. Assuming the process to employ the next town administrator is not complete, and you are elected, how will you assess the candidates for town manager, town administrator, whatever the charter says? Anybody know what it says? Administrator. This is a multiple part question too. The second part is, do you have a different approach to find a town administrator? And the third part is, how should an interim town administrator be determined if necessary? You want me to repeat it?
The last one, please.
How should an interim town administrator be determined if necessary? We okay to roll?
The first part of that, the first part of that is assess the town administrator if you're appointed to the council.
No, assuming the process to employ the next town administrator is not complete and you are elected, how will you assess the candidates for town administrator? Everybody ready? Bob, it's on you.
Okay. I would really would look at a person's experience. What towns they have worked in previously, what they have, positions that they have held, if they've been an administrator or manager in another town or some other high-level position in the town. I think it would be important to look at the experience. I think it would be important to, and part of that is their background, their overall background. But probably more importantly would be references. Looking at what people say about somebody. If you're a town administrator in the state of New Hampshire, you have a reputation. Is that reputation favorable? Is the reputation, right now we probably need somebody who's strong, but kind of like in a velvet kind of way. Someone who's not going to come in and, just knock over everything and say, we're going to change things. I've heard about this town of Hooksett and I'm coming here to straighten it out. I don't think we really need that, but I think we need somebody with a lot of experience dealing with, difficult situations. The education background would certainly be important that a person have who look for professional credentials in the form of our administrator. So, I think background, references, experience, and how they deal, what people say about their people skills and how they deal with others. As far as a different process, well, I've hired, close to 50 or 60 people in the last couple of years, and I've always done it through the newspaper. Put an ad in the newspaper, have people show up, screen them, look at the background, again, the experience, and then, as was mentioned earlier, and I certainly would go along with this, having a citizen group look at the background, let them do some interviews and so forth.
Time up. Thank you, Bob. Jim?
I'm the new town administrator. I've not had much experience in hiring people. I've worked for myself for many years, so I don't hire many people. But I think we need to find an administrator that's very strong, very experienced, somebody that can stand up to the criticism that they're going to receive from this town. I think there's a certain pool out there that would be eligible to become a town administrator, and I don't really think if we advertise in the paper or we use MRI or at the local government center, I think the same candidates are going to show up. I think it's up to the council plus the citizen group to be involved in this also like it was the last time, and make a good determination who can feel comfortable with the person we're bringing in and think that they'll do a good job in managing our department heads and all the problems that arise. I think our last administrator has done a good job, but she's changed her mind to leave, and we have to live with that. And as far as an interim administrator, I I think if we do hire one, I don't think it should be hired as a candidate to put in as full-time. I think they should be hired as an intern, come in, do the job, and then we still continue looking around for a new intern, a new administrator, and that's the one we should hire. Not an on-the-job training type intern. So that's all.
Thank you, Jim. Mike?
I think, like everyone else has said, I think experience is the key. I think we have to look at what people have done in their past and how they have managed difficulty and how they have managed multiple departments and multiple layers of responsibility. In the course of my career, I've had the opportunity to hire and both fire people, and while the latter is never enjoyable, it certainly can be traced back to the hiring process, and there was something that was missed. So I think the most important thing is that we're diligent in our search. We cast the widest net possible. I agree, rehashing the same pool of candidates is neither wise nor recommended. All due respect, I'm not sure the newspaper is the way we want to go with this. There are many other ways in which to attract top caliber people. So those are the things, when you look at what they've done in their past, a situation that they were faced with, the task that they determined was before them, the actions that they took to address that situation, and then the results they achieved. So if you look at the interview model, that's the way I would approach it. A different approach, again, I know that the community involvement was essential the last time. I think that needs to be absolutely part of this process because it's ultimately all of our responsibility collectively. And in terms of an interim administrator, my goal would be that would not be necessary. However, I don't want to rush to judgment. I don't want to make a decision that we are regretting in 24 or 36 months. It's critical. I used the term earlier, home run. It is absolutely paramount that we do that. So that's where I'm coming from on that topic. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Hang on a minute, Nancy. Does any of the candidates need some